Welcome back. We're here to preview Monday night's Premier League game between West Bromwich Albion and Chelsea. Matt, we'll start with Chelsea, crown champions. Last time out they hosted Liverpool and it was a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, it's always difficult to, well, not difficult to play games, but you never have really the same intensity when you've already won the league. And obviously welcoming Liverpool, which is obviously a massive game in its own right. You know, Mourinho got some history with Liverpool, so have Chelsea. You know, played in the cup, in the League Cup this season. Had some good games, and it was a decent game overall. Obviously Chelsea took the league early on. John Terry header, you know, he's had a great season. Hasn't he? Whatever you think about him, you know, off the pitch, etc. He's on the field, been brilliant. You know, probably the best centre back in the league this season. And interesting team selection. And Ruben Loftus-Cheek came into the middle of the park, did well. Looks a good player. And he's got good size about him, good height, and played nail with Mikel. And aside from that, it was a strong team, wasn't it? Obviously Hazard was in the team, and Remy got a start up front. To be fair to Liverpool, though, that they came back into the game very well, didn't they? Obviously got the goal equaliser, Steven Gerrard header, and second half Liverpool were the team sort of pressing forward, pressing for the goal. Not too much from Chelsea in the second half. I think it was the type of game where a draw they wouldn't have been too fussed about it, but the fact they won the league, if they'd have lost, I think it'd have been really disappointing, even though they've still won the league, because obviously unbeaten at home this season, been great at home this season, haven't they? And then just so improved, been great overall. I think was it 14 wins at home this season, and it's just last time out, like I say, to give a couple of squad players some games. Philip Luis came in as well, and Kurt Zouma went off injured but came in for a start, and it was a good game to bed a couple of players in, and 1-1 draw against Liverpool. You know, this stage of the season is a decent result.
Certainly, I think you mentioned it. It's been such a dominant campaign from start to finish, hasn't it, really? In terms of the league, you know, they'll be disappointed to go out in Europe to PSG like they did, and obviously the FA Cup, you know, losing to Bradford at home, that was an astonishing result considering, like you say, they haven't lost a game all season long in the league, and only 2 defeats in the league all season, you know, both of those coming away from home. But yeah, to lose to, you know, Bradford, you know, League One side in the Cup, and going out to a French side in the Champions League, they're both disappointing. They did win the League Cup, so they have done a double this season. You know, not the sort of ideal double. You know, if you'd said to Mourinho, you can have 2 trophies, he'd say the Premier League and the Champions League, wouldn't he? But or the Premier League and the FA Cup, that comes second. But yeah, Premier League and League Cup, it's a decent double for them considering, you know, they weren't quite in the title race last year, and it's just been a complete transformation. They've been completely dominant this term. So yeah, fair play to them. And you look at the sort of, you know, they're 11 points clear of second place, and you know, a long way clear now. And you look at the sort of, when you compare the home and away tables, you know, they're top of both of those. So it's just been, yeah, a completely dominant season from start to finish, and yeah, by far the best team in England this year.
Yeah, they've certainly been miles over the rest, haven't they? It'd be interesting to see what happens in the summer though, because you look at teams, you mentioned Arsenal, Manchester City, Manchester United, teams like that, they need to do a lot of business this summer. But you wonder with Chelsea how much they really need to do. You know, look at obviously bringing in Cuadrado in January. Hasn't really done too much, has he? Hasn't really seen too much football, and obviously signing Diego Costa was massive. He's had a really good season, but he's been injured for some time now. And look at whether they might need another striker. Obviously Drogba going, you know, out of contract. Remy, I like Remy, he's a good player, but is he, you know, really, if Costa gets injured again, are they really going to have someone consistently scoring goals? And you look at the midfield as well. I mean, Oscar's done okay. You know, Fabregas has gone off the boil a little bit, but had a lot of assists. Obviously Willian's been a good player this season, and got Matic in the middle of the park. And you wonder where they really need to strengthen at the back, possibly. I mean, you look at Kurt Zouma and Cahill replacing Terry eventually. You're saying Terry's, we said a couple of seasons ago Terry's maybe in his last season, but he keeps getting better. And look at left back, Luis came in from the Atletico Madrid, can't really get a kick. He's been linked with a move back to Spain. They've been linked with Koke as well from Atletico, who's a great player, and Griezmann as well, interestingly. So it'll be interesting to see what Mourinho does, whether he spends too much money. He likes to get his business done early, Mourinho, and he's notoriously good for doing that. So interesting to see. I don't think they need too much, maybe cut the bits around the edges, maybe a new goalkeeper if Czech goes. They're talking about John Ruddy from Norwich as a backup, you know, backup keeper to Courtois. Courtois number 1. So interesting times ahead. But Chelsea, I'd say they'll be right up there again next season.
I think the goalkeeper probably could be one they'll sign this summer. You mentioned John Ruddy there, and I think they've been linked with Rob Green as well at QPR. So I think, you know, depending on how Norwich do in the playoffs, if Norwich go up via the playoffs, I think Ruddy will probably stay with Norwich. But if there's another season in the Championship, they've probably got a better chance of signing Ruddy. But either Ruddy or Green, you know, an English keeper, they'd be good backups to Courtois, certainly. You know, they don't, you know, the last couple of seasons they've had a couple of odd backups. You know, Hilario came back, and then they had Schwarzer as well.
Turnbull,
yeah, exactly. Those sort of players. You know, I think the Ruddy or sort of, you know, Rob Green, if they get either of those, it would certainly be a better backup for them. And you know, the way they've finished the season, 16 games unbeaten now in the league, and you know, they'll certainly fancy their chances against the West Brom side, who, you know, last time out they got, you know, going to St James's Park, you know, a 1-1 draw against Newcastle. It's a decent point, but considering Newcastle had lost their previous 8 games, you know, I think they'll be, you know, a little bit disappointed not to have got all 3 points there. You know, they are safe in the table, you know, they can't go down, but the game itself, you know, I think, you know, Newcastle would have just been desperate to win that game, and the fact that West Brom didn't roll over, you know, they put up a fight, and Ichibi with, you know, decent headers, put them in front. He was sort of a bit of a pest for Newcastle all game long, and you look at the goal Newcastle scored. Perez, it's a great finish from him to fire it in the bottom corner. And on another day, I think it went through a couple of legs, and on another day that hits a defender's leg and goes out for a corner. So, they can be it's a decent point from them. But I think the fact that Newcastle had lost 8 in a row means that I think Tony Pulis probably be a little bit disappointed not to pick up all 3 points.
Yeah, but you mentioned where they're on the table. I mean, sitting 13th at the moment. Obviously, it's been a great season. Last season finished 17th on 36 points, and they've already got 41 already with a couple of games left. So I think you have to say it has been a success. I mean, like I mentioned, last season finishing just outside the relegation zone. Probably a little bit disappointing. Obviously, staying in the league is a good thing, but pushing forward is always important to have progression. But I think goal-wise, they've struggled this season in terms of goals. I think they only scored sort of 34 goals, and you're looking at 54, I think it is, 54 goals, and you're looking at where they are in terms of goal scorers. Berahino's obviously got a few goals. Gone off the boil a little bit though, isn't he? He keeps getting linked with big moves, and he's done okay, but is he really sort of that type of player that's really going to, push you forward? And you wonder whether his heart's really in it. So interesting to see what happens with him. Brown and Ichibi, both good players. But if they strengthen sort of going forward in the summer, that'd be interesting to see. But 13th in the table, going to stay in the league, and 110, drawn 11, lost 15. Sounds about right for West Brom. So a bit of a free hit here, and they might have a go at Chelsea, see what happens.
I think that's a good way to describe it, sort of free hit, like you say. Chelsea, already crowned champions, they'll be looking forward to their sort of final. They'll sort of possibly be focusing more on their final home game in the season, the sort of title crowning party when they lift the trophy and all that. And I think West Brom will certainly say, Pulis will say to them, just give it a good go against the champions and just see if you can, cause a shock result and, get yourself on the back pages, that sort of thing. So, like you say, free hit for West Brom here. What's your score prediction?
I think it'll be a tight game, but I think you just have to fancy Chelsea. I mean, it's difficult to see them sort of going there. I can see a draw happening, but, in terms of score prediction, I'm actually going to go 1-0 Chelsea.
1-0, I think Chelsea will win 2-0 as well. I think it'll be just a little more convincing. I'm going to say 2-0 to the away side. So, both fancy Chelsea to win 2-0 here. Thanks for watching.